onwards to the last kind of relation, many-to-many relations. We can, of course, also have those. And again, I want to stick to the example we have here and use the example you saw on the slide, where a book can be published in multiple countries, but a given country, of course, might have published various books by various authors. So how do we set up a many-to-many relation then? Well, first of all, I want to add the related model, the country model, which extends models.Model, of course. And that country has a name, let's say, which is a char field with a max length of, let's say, 80. And maybe it also has a code, which is a char field with a max length of 2. And now it's this country which I want to connect to my books here. How do we do that? Well, it all starts with us adding a new field, and we can add it on any of the two models. It's up to you to which one you want to add it. Just as with all the other relations we covered up to this point, you typically add it there where it makes the most sense for you. Do you look at a country having multiple published books? Or is it more logical for you to look at a book and think about its countries in which it was published? For me, the latter is the case, and therefore I'll go to the book and then add published countries, for example, as a name here, and then add a models.Many-to-many-field. That's how you set up a many-to-many relation. Just as with foreign key and with one-to-one, you then as a first argument add the name of the model that should be related. So in this case, country. Now it is worth pointing out that here you can't add the onDelete option. That's the difference to the other two kinds of relations. And the reason for that is that a many-to-many relation is set up differently behind the scenes. With one-to-one and one-to-many, we always had two tables involved. Two models, two tables. And then information about a related model was stored in one of the two tables. So for example, with a book having an author, we had that author field which stored the ID of the related author. The same for one-to-one. With many-to-many that doesn't work, because a book does not just have one related country, but multiple countries. So a list of countries. And we can't really store a list of IDs. We technically could, but that would all be very inefficient and lead to huge problems with performance and so on. So we don't want to store a list to manage our relations. And the same is true from the country's perspective. There we could add a field which stores all the books for that country, but again, that would have to be a list. So therefore, for a many-to-many relationship, Django automatically creates a third table. Behind the scenes, we don't have to add a model for that. It creates it automatically. And it's a mapping table that basically holds one row per connection between country and book. So if one book belongs to two countries, 2 rows would be added to this in-between mapping table. And therefore, when you delete a country, Django will just have to go to that mapping table and delete the connection there. And the book model will not be affected at all. That's why you don't set up onDelete. And that's also some other thing to be aware of in general, that you have this in-between third mapping table. So therefore, all we need to do here really is just add many-to-many. Now, we can therefore save this, stop the development server, and then run manage-py make migrations. And this creates the migrations. Now, with that done, we can run Python 3 manage-py migrate, and this will now reach out and write those migrations. Now we got everything prepared for many-to-many relations. And therefore, just as before, let's start in the shell and then have a look at the admin view.